Back in session.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
We're gonna jump ahead. Mr. Johansson?
Well, my girl is not gonna be here till 2:15. In the hearing at 2:15?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sarah's not gonna be here at 2:15, I'm sorry. But she's my main player.
We're just early.
Everything I have here has your name on it. Dave Johansson?
That's not me.
Got your name on it.
That's Commander Johansson.
Is that okay?
We're talking about Main Street in Westminster on the other side of the tracks. You own the whole damn block, so
Me the bank.
must be you.
Is that okay? Can we wait till she gets here?
Yes, sir. I didn't know you was bringing somebody else.
Well, Jen, Market Tavern's here, so, I mean,
That's a 2.
It's a 2 o'clock case.
yeah,
so
Finch Market.
we gotta wait another 5 minutes for 2 o'clock for that.
Well, one thing that Sarah's gonna bring with her is a request for Johanssons to participate in all the Main Street strolls and festivals.
And who signed it?
I don't know, because I don't have it yet, but we can always get it. Did you sign it, Dave?
This year?
So you can make a decision on that now if you want.
Well, apparently he's not up to snuff. However, just as a point of information, and you may not be able to answer this, but you're involved.
Come on up, Dave.
Back before COVID, during COVID, when you're allowed to open up outside,
Yes.
you got any plans for that in the future?
I did not right now.
We need to have the microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We in session?
I mean, we can't get the help.
I'm just curious,
No.
because we're waiting
It's-
5 minutes.
Yeah, right now, we don't have any intentions of doing it. If we do anything, and it seems to work in some places to where you might put 2 seats with the board's permission out front or something, but I don't see it right now. I mean, it's
I was
just,
just curious because you went to all that trouble and
I
expense
sure did.
doing all that stuff, and of course
Yep.
COVID hit, and that could be understandable, but I didn't know whether you might have any future plans.
Yeah, my wife said she'd kill me if I opened that up, so. Yeah, it's a challenge.
Okay. What's that clock got over there?
About 2 minutes still.
Well, we can have the case called and get the formalities out of the way, and by that time, it'll be 2 o'clock.
The documents she was supposed to write.
So if
Very front.
Mr. Dixon reads slow, ask him to call case 6, 4, 2, 8.
And do we appreciate?
All right, continuation of case 6428, an application for a new Class D beer and wine license to be issued to Jennifer M. Elliott for the use of Market Tavern LLC, trading as Finch Market, 27 East Baltimore Street, Tawnytown, Maryland, 21787, in Election District 1. The file was already entered into evidence at the former hearing. All the documents that were asked to be presented are in the file now, so I will pass the file down with the new documents at the front.
With that, all those who intend to testify in this case, please stand, raise your right hand, be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may be seated. And as you testify, please begin by stating your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jennifer Elliott, 9 York Street, Tawnytown, Maryland, 21787.
And while we were aware of some of the information, the documents and so on and so forth that were missing or incomplete at your last hearing, it's my understanding from Ms. Vance that they have been corrected and completed. Is that correct? And briefly tell us again why you want this Class D beer and wine license.
Of course. I recently opened Finch Market in Tawnytown, moving my Sykesville operation up there. I'm looking forward to helping to grow the Main Street Historic District there. Finch Market specializes in gourmet foods, specialty local foods like cheese, chips and peanuts and spices and cooking needs and different items that are not sold in typical grocery stores. We also offer apparel and some bath and body goods as well. So to complete the offering, I would like to be able to sell beer and wine as well. It gives people a chance to come in and see the unique food items as well as some of the smaller boutique wines that I like to choose and the specialty beers.
When you're talking about alcohol, since you have specialty items for other foods and drink and so forth, are you speaking about local Maryland wines and beers?
I will carry some local options. Some of the Maryland wines tend to be a little bit more on the expensive side, so I will have some of that, but I'd like to offer some maybe harder to find international wines as well that hit a more affordable price point.
What's the seating of your establishment?
There are 2 lounge areas, so it will seat maybe 15 to 20 people. It will most likely be mostly to-go alcohol sales to go with the specialty foods.
What will your hours of operation be?
Sunday and Thursday, 12 to 7. Friday and Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 10 to 5.
How many employees do you anticipate?
I only have one other employee other than myself.
And if I remember correctly, one of the questions we had, you are the 100%
Yes.
owner?
Yes, I am.
Are you TIPS or TAM certified?
I sure am.
Is your other employee also?
Yes, he is.
And you've been operating since last fall?
I opened in November, yes.
So in your file, there's now a single-member operating agreement of Market Tavern LLC. Whereas before, we had several owners.
Yes.
Have the other owners seen this, or are they aware of this document?
Yes.
Do you have any documentation to give us that they're giving up their
I
membership?
have tax documents that show their final K-1 returns from 2021.
How do we know it's a final K-1 return, though?
There's a box that you check that sends it to the IRS that shows that the partnership has terminated. with those partners.
You mean that they've left the LLC?
Correct.
And you have notified Department of Assessments and Taxation that you're the new resident agent?
Correct. And that is officially in the system.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And the, you want to-
Let's see if
have you seen this? The alcoholic beverages that you want to offer at Finch's Market, they're in containers. You're not going to set up a bar and mix drinks, are you?
No, I'm not.
So would there be any consumption on premises?
As the license allows, yes. If somebody wanted to sit and have a beer, then yes. I will sell bottles of wine. So if somebody wants to enjoy a bottle of wine with a friend, they can. If they want to have a glass of wine and take the rest home, then we'll give them the proper bag and advise them how to store it in their car safely.
Okay. Just beer and wine.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on the beers that you might offer?
Mostly local craft beers because there are so many, and we're fortunate in the state of Maryland to have such a good variety and very good ones. So, and I already have relationships established, so that will be kind of a no-brainer for me.
Okay. Have you talked to 1623 Brewery?
Of course. And Brewery Fire, my new neighbors in Tawnytown.
Right.
Yes, all good friends of mine.
Good. And you were describing some international wines that you want to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And these international wines are not available readily, I take it, at Class A licensees around Carroll County?
So what I mean by some of the unique wines that I'll be offering, it won't be what you're going to find at the local liquor stores, the end cap that's, this wine's on deal for $8.99 or what have you. I will try to find, maybe some Spanish wines that people don't know about, or,
Yeah.
even different parts of Italy that people are less familiar with. They're still affordable. They're kind of not secrets, of course, because anybody can buy them. The local liquor store could still buy them. They're just probably not focused on the smaller boutique wines that I'm focused on.
Right, okay. I think at the last hearing, it was testified to that you've been relieved of paying rent for the first 6 months there in an effort to get your business up and going.
Yes.
Who's the landlord again?
The landlord is Christina Landsman. However, I have an investor that owns the lease with me.
Okay. Is that the gentleman who testified about the
Yes.
exemption for 6 months?
Yes, Mr. Stevenson.
He's on the lease with you?
Yes.
Okay. As I recall, he is very involved in efforts to revitalize downtown Tawnytown, kind of
That's correct.
do a little upscale revitalization.
Lots of projects in the works. So.
He has lots of projects in works. Okay. Since we last saw you, how's business?
It's been picking up, yeah. Definitely busier on the weekends, and not as much foot traffic in Tawnytown as we're used to in Sykesville, but part of that is kind of the busier traffic flow on the street. But Tawnytown's definitely up and coming. We're definitely on the cusp of a growth.
Yeah. I think at the last hearing, it was made clear that you're hoping to be part of that.
Absolutely.
You have a vision.
That's part of the fun, yeah.
Yeah. And your witnesses were very enthusiastic about you being part of that.
We're having a girls' night tonight in Tawnytown, so a lot of the local stores have partnered to do specials and do things for the ladies, and there's a workshop at the Rhine Carriage House, and then that'll end a little bit early so that everybody is encouraged to go take advantage of the deals at the shops.
I mean, everybody who's a girl.
I mean, you could come if you'd like to. We won't discriminate.
If you've got money to spend, I'm sure you can.
So just to cover a little bit of ground, the previous hearing, you were involved in Market Tavern in Sykesville when it opened,
Correct.
you and your ex-spouse.
Yes.
And you had a vision at that time, what Market Tavern would be. It was something different and new for Main Street, Sykesville. And I think it's pretty clear, at least from my experience and from the testimony, that you were successful bringing something new to Main Street, Sykesville,
Yes.
and that you wanted to translate that experience and that vision to Main Street, Tonytown.
That's correct.
And sometimes it wasn't totally clear at the last hearing, but I think what was happening was you will have Finch's Market, and you also had an enterprise in mind at a different location, and you're going to call it Market Tavern, which would be a
Correct.
bigger,
Yes, it will be a full restaurant.
okay.
So you'll see me again later this year.
All right, how far along are you on that project?
Right now, it's in full renovation mode, so new staircases are being moved, basement renovation, new floors going down. So the owners of that building are doing some preliminary build-out for
Okay,
that.
and that'll be Market Tavern LLC will, if you get a license there, that'll be for the use of that LLC?
Yes,
And will you be the sole owner of that?
yes,
And I think that the testimony from the last hearing was that that's another amenity that the core group of people who are trying to revitalize downtown Tonytown.
especially that end of town. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
Oh,
off.
that's all
That end of town definitely needs more food and drink options.
Okay, which end of town is that? I'm not terribly familiar. I know where Antrim is.
Yes, so there's the square and the circle. So Market Tavern would be on the square. So the circle is where the bowling alley, Thunderhead,
Yeah.
and Brewery Fire.
As you enter town is the circle you're
Yes.
talking about, yeah.
And then as you get into town, there's Antrim, and then further up is Finch, and then Market Tavern 2.0 would be up on the corner of, it'll be at 1 York Street.
So is Finch currently operating as a gathering place for people, or is it just simply a gourmet market?
Simply a store at this point, yes. But with the beer and wine offering, we will probably have people that may want to sit and gab a little bit.
So you might add a few tables and chairs? Okay.
And the inspectors have all been in, the fire inspector, plumbing, electrical, and they all like the layout and how everything looks.
Good. And you live in Tonytown now?
I sure do.
You had two other witnesses at the last hearing. Mark Stevenson and...
And Mark is here today with me.
Oh, okay. Christopher Tillman, was he one of the witnesses? Is he here as well? Or just Mark?
Just Mark.
Okay. And Jay Measley, Meesey, who we just saw a little while ago.
Yes,
He's not here for this hearing.
he's not.
Yeah, I told him the wrong time. He asked me what time, I thought it was 2:45. I gave him the wrong time by mistake.
Hell, he wanted to be here.
He wants to be here, I gave him the wrong time.
Did he go back to Tonytown? Or is he at the watering hole down here? And
He didn't say. I thought this was scheduled for 2:45, I messed up.
okay, well,
I
that's,
thought he said he was going to Johansson's if he could get in there. But there's nobody there, they're all here, so I don't know.
The workers are there, just the management's here.
so you said Mark Stevenson is here? Are you going to ask him to provide further testimony, or is he just available to the board for questions?
He's available if you guys have any questions.
He did not get sworn in.
I know.
He did not get sworn in.
This time?
The only person sworn in is her.
Okay.
That's all right.
Is Mr. Tillman associated with the Chamber of Commerce in Tonytown?
He is, and he's the owner of George's Bed and Breakfast, or George's on York.
I got the impression there's a core group of entrepreneurs in Tonytown who know each other, and they're trying to, I guess, do Main Street Tonytown, what has been done in other small towns in Maryland, like Sykesville, for instance, which you were a part of.
Yes.
And the witnesses you had last week, I'm sorry, in December, seem to be part of that group of people who are putting their money where their mouth is. They're
Yes, absolutely.
working on improving properties and working on getting businesses there.
Yes. So Mr. Tillman and Mr. Stevenson are a big part of that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jamie Shee is part of the economic development for the city of Tawnytown.
Right, right.
So we're all in it together.
Yeah, it seems like you have a group vision of where you want to go. And I
Absolutely.
recall the testimony last time was that you're considered part of that in their minds,
Yes.
and in your mind.
Yes.
You have any questions?
I do not.
So based upon testimony that you have given in December as well as here, that your primary objective in this establishment is kind of specialty items.
Mhm.
So when I think of alcoholic beverages, of specialty items, I don't think of Budweiser and Coors and things like that. Establishment in Mount Airy comes to mind with very similar goals as what you have expressed. And along with their specialty food items, they have special local Maryland beers and wines and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And are not interested in Budweiser or Coors or in the old days, Dave, Old Bug, Gunther's, Export, so forth. So that's your mission for this, what is it, Finch Markets?
That's correct.
And from other testimony from witnesses and so on and so forth, felt that this is a needed type of store, whatever you want to call it, a boutique specialty shop in Tawnytown. With that, is there any other questions, colleagues?
I would offer Ms. Elliott the chance to respond to any concerns that were expressed at the last hearing. If you want to address any of them that were brought up.
Of course.
Some are concerning, especially concerning the source from our inspector, whose opinion we value. But on the other hand, we're going forward. We're looking forward, and so I would ask if there's something you want to do to calm any concerns we might have
Of course.
about any of those issues.
I'm happy
And
to.
particularly, one would be the drinking while on duty. Even though our rule allows a licensee or employee to drink when not on duty, the rule has a qualifier while on duty. I don't necessarily subscribe to the opinion, although I understand it, that every owner is always on duty when they're in their establishment. In a way, that's true, but on the other hand, I've known owners of restaurants be sitting down with their family having a meal and a glass of wine, and I don't think they're in violation of our rule. Because I would say that maybe they're not on duty. But that is a concern.
Yes.
It was raised. And speaking for myself and perhaps others, going forward, what would you say to us about that concern?
Of course, that particular concern, I was having I was National Margarita Day. I was having a margarita with my boyfriend when he got off from work. I was not technically working. I was there at my establishment, of course. But when you employ people and they go through the training and you've trained them to do a job, I feel that you need to trust them to do a job. And I don't recall if that was a Tuesday or a Wednesday evening, but obviously the same thing wouldn't be happening on a busier night where I would be there, a little bit in a not relaxed fashion. I was not drunk. I do not do that when I'm in my establishment. I would say that
Going forward.
Going
what are your
forward,
thoughts?
I will not drink while I am working. Now tastings and things when reps come in aside, but doing that responsibly, and certainly setting a better example for my staff of one right now, but going forward down the road, making sure things are outlined as far as what I do and what they're expected to do.
I would say for the record that you were never charged under our rules for drinking while
Right.
while working. But it was an observation that was made, and it could be concerning. So I appreciate your response, and I completely accept it.
Thank you.
You have any other questions?
No, I don't.
With that said, Inspector Benford, do you have any comments?
I do not.
There are no other testimony and evidence is now closed, and we will hear any closing comments or remarks. So, Ms. Elliott, do you have anything to?
I just appreciate the opportunity to come this afternoon and finish up the case, and the opportunity to, again, look at the future of Tawnytown and the growth of Tawnytown that I'm excited to be a part of. So, thank you.
Inspector Benford, any closing comments?
I do not.
Testimony is now closed, and this board will deliberate the merits of the case and issue a recommendation.
Well, Mr. Chairman, to start off the discussion of the merits of the case, I went back and looked at the video of the hearing to refresh my memory of some of the testimony. I think that we can agree that Finch's Market qualifies under our definition of a Class D establishment, that you are a specialty or boutique type of establishment. The several witnesses that you had testify on your behalf were pretty compelling, and they testified on your behalf with enthusiasm. Jay Mishi, who was here earlier, the Economic Development Director for Tawnytown, as well as the manager for Main Street Tawnytown, he testified forcefully for you. And not just you as an applicant or prospective licensee, but also the vision that you will bring to the economic development of Tawnytown, which we briefly discussed earlier. He said that the town, through the Economic Development Department and Main Street Tawnytown, supports your application, encourages the approval of off-premise sale. He thought you would be a beneficial addition to the town, both personally and as a businesswoman. The Finch Market concept, he testified, brings a selection of gourmet groceries to downtown Tawnytown, offerings that would be beneficial to the residents and to visitors. He testified also on behalf of the town that he's confident that Miss Elliott personally, as the operator of the establishment, will do a very good job and will not abuse sales of alcohol. He interviewed you several times, believes you're a person of good character. Now, that's pretty weighty testimony on your behalf, I think. Basically, the testimony that we received was in two parts. Your vision, economic vision for the town, to develop the town, but also you personally. Yeah, and he was strongly in support of you on both counts. And then, we mentioned two other gentlemen who testified, basically said similar things. And they're, as far as I could see, they're stakeholders in the success of Main Street Tawnytown. They have money that they're putting out, investing in it, and they see you as someone who can help them achieve what Tawnytown is looking for, to revitalize in an upscale way your Main Street. So that was all very compelling to me. And when I was listening to your testimony, when I was listening to your presentation, your witnesses, I'm thinking to myself, there's Mr. Mishi now. I was thinking to myself that this is very clear. This is very clearly a case where this lady is going to do a great job, is a very good character, and is going to do well, and that we should certainly grant it. But then we had some testimony that raised some concerns. You've addressed the big concern, I think, in my mind, properly. As far as the other issues that were raised, those concerns, in prior hearings, when you were down in Sykesville, it has come to our attention that there's been some challenges that have been presented to you, been in your life, some personal challenges in a family sense, but, health challenges, and then you have COVID, you have economic challenges, and there are obstacles. And sometimes small business owners, people and families, when they're presented with those kind of challenges, sometimes they take steps that others would call a misstep, and perhaps you did at times. But I think that you have overcome those challenges, and I, for one, am very happy to see you get a second chance and to show that you are going to succeed in this new endeavor. And I think that you'll be a great asset to Tawnytown, because I remember you were in Sykesville.
Thank you.
Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman. I see that Jay Mishi has shown up, so I guess it'd be your call if you want to.
I don't think it's necessary for him. He's already testified.
Okay.
He's back there for support, and we apologize for the incorrect information given you, but I think your testimony here this morning indicates the support of the town and so on and so forth, so I don't think it's necessary that he repeat over what he said this morning and in December. Ms.
Thank you.
Mulvaney, you have any comments?
I just wanted to reiterate what Commissioner Barnhart said. I commend you for being diligent and running a small business in this county. I've been there and done that, and it's challenging at times, and I'm glad to see you persevere. That being said, I would be ready to make a motion if the chairman so wishes.
Chair would entertain a motion.
I move that on the continuation case of case number 6428, that we approve the application for a Class D beer and wine license to be issued to Jennifer Elliott.
I second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
A motion has been made and seconded that we approve case 6428, which is an application for a new Class D beer and wine license to be issued to Jennifer M. Elliott for the use of Market Tavern LLC, trading as Finch Market, 27 East Baltimore Street, Tawnytown, Maryland, 21787. Is there any discussion or further discussion on the motion?
No, sir.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. Congratulations. Miss Elliott, we wish you much success and hope that you are one of the few specialty shops for this type of license throughout the county, to my knowledge. And wish you the best in Tawnytown, and certainly Tawnytown's revitalization
Thank you.
of their projects up there.
Thank you very much.
And
You guys
you
are all
know-
welcome to visit.
You know that our office and staff is always available for any comments or questions that you might have. Any signage or anything that we may provide is available to you. With that, congratulations and best wishes.
Thank you.
I have no more official business on the docket. And with that, we will go back into our business meeting. And Mr. Johansson has had time to collect his thoughts. Mr. Dave, as you know, the reason that we ask you to stop by here today is annually we review the DUI reports that are received and given to us by the various law enforcement agencies. And I see from 2022, there were 11 incidences that we know of where supposedly customers came from your establishment and were charged with DUI reports. Now, the reports show basically about 80% of them are under the age of 25 or 27. And they all occur on the weekends. And the average blood alcohol content was 0.15, which is nearly double the limit. Now, I don't know, you know, if I drank 2 beers, I'd probably be under the influence because I don't drink beer that much. But who knows, and what, just tell us if you will, what your bartenders and employees are instructed as far as serving alcoholic beverages and what to look for when you feel that, and when do you look for to see that they may be a little tipsy?
Well, first thing I want to say is that we came up with a close figure here. About 65% of our people are TAM certified. We have Mr. Benford here, want to know how many we're going to appear at the next TAM certification. That's going to be 9.
That's from I was told that was from Lorden's.
9 from O'Lorden's and 9 from Johansson's.
I only have Lorden's names.
Yeah, Cody just got them from me on Monday.
Is that 9 total or 18?
18 total.
Okay, all right.
9 from each establishment.
I just need those names whenever you get a
Yes,
chance.
Cody has them.
Basically, our bartenders is, you know, we run 2 different kind of atmospheres. One is more a restaurant, upstairs and bar, and downstairs is more of a nightclub atmosphere. She can definitely tell you, we deny service all the time to people coming in intoxicated. If we see people that become intoxicated, on their way to being intoxicated, that's hard to say, but definitely you can spot them when they are intoxicated. They got to go. And what we ordinarily try to do is get somebody, figure out who their leader is with their group, and say, hey, listen, this guy's got to go. Take him home. Now, there's been certain instances that Westminster City Police Department knows about, Sarah knows about, that we've taken keys away from people. Police, I have to give them a lot of credit. We have new leadership there, and they're doing very, very well. They're actually, instead of waiting for somebody to get in their car, they're actually going up to the car and say, hey, you're not driving, are you?
Usually the police?
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's almost like the old days. You know, they say, hey, you know, I saw you walk out there, you're acting goofy, this and that, blah, blah, you can't drive. Well.
Is this something, I'm sorry, Dave, is this something new?
I think the police got different training now. I think in general, they're getting different training.
I noticed it starting COVID. During COVID is when I noticed it.
Okay, so they were doing that during the time of this accumulation of, okay.
And one of the things is, you know, and there's one police officer there that is, he's not on my special guest list, but he's actually come around. And he's actually told the guy, you're not driving. I'm sitting right across the parking lot. If you get in your car, I'm gonna lock you up. What's the guy do? She tries to get the keys from him. Guy gets in his car. This police officer is less than 100 feet away. He gets in his car and goes down the road. Well, they got him right in the parking lot.
So that's one of the guys on here,
There's like probably 3 or 4 off the top of my head of been told not to drive and by the police, and they've turned around and drove.
They just drive. They don't care.
But they were coming out of Johansson's.
Yes. You know, so, I mean, the point is, we try the best we can possibly do. Because number one is, you don't need somebody killed, or you don't need some kind of major issue, okay? I mean, but a lot of these people, you just can't communicate with. And there are a lot of people at Johansson's that walk there. I mean, there's a lot of people that walk there because we can be busy and those parking lots are empty. So we know that they're walking there, which is a good thing for us. But it's a situation. I don't have any excuses other than, you know, we try the best that we can because, you know, we don't want the liability. We don't want the headache that comes along with it, even though I like seeing you guys, but I don't need to see you. And it's what we do. And one of the things that a couple of my doormen have said to me is, you can't fix dumb. Just can't do it. I mean, you can't fix people that are gonna do whatever they wanna do. Period. I mean, and as far as control goes, you know, I want to use, and this is nothing derogatory about any agency or anything, but if you read the paper the other day, you had somebody that was 40 feet away from the main entrance of the health department, OD in the bathroom. How could they stop that? Can't stop it. It's almost the same way with us. You know, they pre-game before they get there. They're fine. Next thing you know, you don't know if they're taking pills. You don't know if they're getting high. You know, and getting high is another big thing because what they do is they have a couple of drinks that they may be over the limit, but they would not show being over the limit unless they get high in the parking lot or high in the corner or whatever, and then get in their car and drive down the road. I mean, it's as simple as that. And I got guys that tell me all the time, no, I should have never done that. Well, yeah, you should have never done it. But as far as, like I said, I don't want to be here. I don't want anybody getting killed and, or killing somebody else. We don't need it. But it's very difficult to handle people.
Dave, as I've viewed these reports, 9 out of the 11 are 12 o'clock, 12 or later. And probably of those 11, of those 9, 7 of them are 25 or younger. And at the times, do you have bartenders that work like from 3 to 12 or whatever your hours are? What I'm getting at is the time slot here. Bartenders get familiar with people and so on and so forth, and is there any correlation maybe that with their relationships that maybe they would serve an extra beer to somebody because they're friends? That if you look at these ages, 23, 24.
Most of my doormen are a little older, and some of them are not quite that friendly anyway, in that particular type of job. So they're not there to make any friends, trust me.
Oh, but I'm talking about the bartenders, not the...
Bartenders are older too, down under. They're all older. They're every one of them. You know what I mean? We hire college people as servers, not as bartenders. I have one college guy, and he's bright. So, we're smarter than that. Because if you got the college behind the bar, it's a free-for-all.
That's what I was getting at.
No. No, I've been in it too long to hire them. And another one of the things is we are one of the few places in Carroll County that stay open later. And we do that for a couple of reasons. It's got a club atmosphere downstairs. Kids don't come out till 10 o'clock, 10:30 sometimes. And also, we pick up every one of them from all the different restaurants when they get off. And that's key. They got money in their pocket. They're gonna get something to eat. They're gonna have a couple of drinks. It's just like construction worker when he goes into the bar after working a hard day, sits down, has a couple of beers, gets a cheeseburger, and goes home. We have a lot of that, and we're fortunate to have that. But a lot of these, the later night, Sheriff DeWee said that, when he supported the 2 o'clock, he said he'd rather have them stay local than run all over the place like they did. And, if you really take a look at it, it's really put a crunch on the Baltimore County bars. Cal Bittner's is very, very slow, and Aldenstown is very slow, late, where they used to do all their business from Carroll County. But, we go by, like I said, I don't have a lot of answers to just cutting them off, send them on their way, and trying to get somebody to find out who the chief is of the group and give them to the chief.
I have a question for Mr. Benfer. So comparing the DUI reports for Johansson's from 2021 to 2022,
Okay.
how do you compare them? Is it an increase, decrease?
It's an increase this year.
And is that because of the change of the time?
No,
How long has that been in effect at Carroll County?
2 years. It was during COVID, so it was two and a half years. But overall numbers were, I think we were at 39, I think we were 36 last year.
How about just for Johansson's?
Was 5 last year.
5, okay, I don't have that form.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's 21.
That's what I'm asking, what-
21, yes, 521, 320. He's down, way down
So
on
in
7 and 19.
2021, how many were there for
Five.
total? 5 total?
5.
In 2022, there are
11.
11 total.
That goes by increase in business. The busier you are, the more people you're gonna
Yeah,
get.
that makes sense.
And you have to also consider too, Raphael's is not, they changed their business plan. They're not going after the younger crowd like they used to. They're closing 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock. He's getting back into that.
Rock Salt closes at 10 o'clock, and we actually had some Rock Salt employee, was one of the DUIs from Johansson's. And Ernie's is Ernie's. There used to be occasionally I get some college kids out at Ernie's, but no, it's usually their own crowd.
Dave, 2017, you had 3. 2018, you had 4. 2019, you had 7. 2020, you had 2, and 2021, you had 5. In 2017, we had a total of 34 in Carroll County, 49 in 18, 36 in 19, 33 in 20, 36 in 21. 39 and 22.
And also, probably about two and a half years ago, I started getting reports from Westminster City Police.
That's right, yeah.
I was not getting those reports before.
So that kind of skews the comparison.
Correct.
I also would like to subject or interject something, and that is, as we went through the pandemic, and everybody was at home, and everybody was going to the liquor stores because they weren't allowed to go out to the bars, or they didn't feel comfortable to go out to the bars, their drinking habits changed a lot, okay? A lot. So now that we're through the pandemic, they're bringing their new drinking habits out into the public. And their tolerances have gotten better. The amount of pot that they're smoking has helped it along. And we're now having to adjust our ways and be more diligent in what we do to make sure that we're being more careful for their own stupidity. And it's difficult. It's challenging. I have a subpoena for Rosa Garcia. We actually took her keys away. We informed the cops that this was going to be a problem. She was later arrested that evening. For what, I'm not sure. But I had her keys for 2 days. 2 days. Her friends threw the keys at me, said, I'm done. Her friends all left her. And now it was up to us to get her home. So I had a doorman try to do his best. Then the cops helped us out. So this is something that we deal with on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting there.
And I've heard other establishments talk about people getting high, coming in high, or finding miniatures in trash cans or the parking lots. This is, what Dave's saying is nothing new. This is the kids, they don't want to spend the money, so they go to the liquor store and buy something cheap first, and then, or pregame. I hear it all the time. I actually probably have one DUI, might be coming from you guys. They were drinking at CNR Pub, got caught miniatures in the bathroom, borrowed them, and supposedly they went to your establishment and got DWI after there. Haven't seen the paperwork yet, but
So Keith, when you compile these, what paperwork do you see to make the DUI report?
a copy of the official DUI report from each agency.
Okay.
And I can pull, I have the reports if you wanted
Yeah.
specific ones, but, and again, I said earlier, a lot of these, at least 3 of them I know off the top of my head, the cop has told them that you don't drive.
3 that we're looking at today.
Yeah, 3 of those. I can go through and find out if there's more,
I
but
believe you.
You know, one of the main things is, and then, trust me, I'm not a philosopher, but people don't care. They just don't care.
Until they get caught.
They don't care. They don't care any ramifications. They don't care about nothing. They don't care. You know what I mean? It's just, okay, I get locked up. They got drugs in the car, you know, I mean, how many people are that stupid that, you know, you're gonna get all drunked up and you got all this cocaine in your car and I mean, just people are just stupid. And that's what they do.
And one thing I want to add too is, talking to Dave on all these, he has cared. He read the reports. He's looked and asked me questions about the reports. I have other establishments that I've gone and talked to, and they don't care. The licensee, the owner, the manager, that's part of doing business.
How long you been in business?
Since 1978. And by the way, I started tending bar when I was old enough. I was 19 years old. You probably know them, the Urema family, Willie Rush, that whole crew.
Next thing you know, you're gonna tell me you tended bar in what's the name of the restaurant on one of them buildings you tore down? Many years ago.
Oh, Barton Valley Inn?
No, right up the street from you. Right about where the parking lot. Used to be a restaurant there years ago.
Oh, no, I'm not that old.
Yeah, you are too.
You're talking about where Hagee's was.
Beside of Hagee's.
Yeah, no, I'm not that old.
Well, that was the restaurant to go to at 1 o'clock in the morning, like your bar is at 1 o'clock in the morning. But this is back
Right.
50s and 60s. And don't tell me you don't remember some of that.
Maybe I did, I wasn't drinking then. I was too young.
Any other questions of Dave?
I do have to say that it's very insightful they've been home for 2 years, building up their tolerance, and now they're coming to you. And then with Keith's comment, it'd be interesting to say when that DWI point comes through, report, are they gonna say they left Johansson's?
Oh, yeah.
When they had, so I guess it's wherever they were last, or?
And another thing is, you know, what you're talking about right there is, today you want a town to where they can walk to different bars and restaurants. And guess what? They're gonna say the last one they left, then they're not gonna say, oh, yeah, I did 3 shots over here, but I had a beer here. They're gonna say, yeah, I left Johansson's, or I left wherever.
Occasionally, I'll get 2 or 3 different locations. They will tell me. But my experience, someone's drunk, they can't comprehend how to lie, so they usually tell the truth.
You know, it's just, it's just one of those things that you just, you know, and this has been going on ever since I started. You know, my boss used to tell me, you know, like I said, I started tending bar in 74. If they're intoxicated, you can't serve them. That was back then. You just didn't do it. Because number one, I worked for Frank Lambert. You didn't make any money off of him. He was all about the money. So you didn't make any money off of him, so why are you gonna endanger yourself with that? You know, so it's a tough business anywhere you get in. When you're out late at night, this is a small town, and just check out the traffic at 12 o'clock. There is none. So who do you think's on the road? The people that are coming from the bars.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. I know it's very difficult for any owner with a license, but sometimes we like to get perspectives of our licensees in certain situations and see what they're doing and how they're doing business-wise and so forth. So unless you have any other comments, thank you very much.
And I think you'll see your DUI reports, don't hold me to it, that are gonna go down this year, because I think we're gonna slip into a pretty nasty recession. We're starting to get a taste of it already, to where there's not people out through the week like they were. You know, they're coming out on the weekends, but they're not coming out through the week like they were. So, thank you very
All
much
right,
for your
thanks,
time.
Dave.
Thank you.
We'll try to
Good
do
luck.
better.
Carry on. Our next item, and I apologize for getting way behind schedule, but Ms. Arthur from Historic Uniontown.
No, I'm trying to find something.
You may be seated, ma'am. Tell us what you have in mind.
I have some paperwork. Do you guys want to see any of that?
What is it? Depends on what it is.
It's just, it was a map of the area as well as some ideas of what we wanted to do with the cider stroll.
Yes, ma'am, that's what we need to know.
Okay.
This is,
Ms. Arthur from Uniontown,
oh, yeah.
Historic Uniontown.
Thank you.
I'm surprised you didn't bring Roland Childs with you.
Here's the,
No.
like the email.
Roland doesn't count anymore ever since they moved into that retirement community.
Oh, is that right?
I could have brought Russ Clark with me though. All right, now the first page you guys see, and that is just me spitballing ideas. So there's a variety of things on there. Oh, in case anybody wants to see this, we had talked about doing a commemorative cup.
Oh, that's nice.
And Tom Holland actually went into the library on Main Street and did those up like that. That's the academy there. So, and this is 12 ounces.
Very nice.
Not that I'll ever see you guys, but I'll still have permission to use. I'm sure most of you already know, the town owns the academy, the one-room schoolhouse. We have ongoing expenses every year, insurance, there's an HVAC, so we do fundraisers. And the fundraisers, our big fundraiser was the one Barbara Childs did with the Christmas tours. But those have been defunct for quite a while, and we've done garden tours, we did ghost walks. We were just part of the large Maryland garden tour, but we are always draining money just for maintenance, and that doesn't include anything that the building might need. We had work done, and instead of using the correct plaster on the walls, they used drywall mud. And the building, I don't know how much you guys know about building, but it's the brick with the lath, so all of that is now bubbling off. And that needs, so we always, if anybody has a house, there's always something. There's always something going on that we need money. One of the problems we run into is that when we use something like the Christmas tour or like the ghost walk I did, we're going into people's houses, which gives us a limited pool of, sooner or later you run through the season because you can only get into so many houses people are willing to let you into. So I hit on the idea of doing a cider stroll, which I'm aiming more at millennials, because people in their 30s have small children and they will take them to wineries and breweries, which I'm old, I would never have taken my child to a brewery. But it's a very different mindset. So what we were hoping was to have hard cider and what I'm calling regular cider, because I don't know what just normal cider would be called that's not hard, at the academy, and one of the homeowners in town has also offered up her back garden if we wanted to try to do a second location. rather, because some people, I've had just one meeting, which was kind of a feel out the residents, you know, are you willing to work this? What are your input? And they're like, well, we don't feel like you should have the drinks at just one location because people aren't going to be willing to walk back and forth. The academy is located on the east end of Uniontown. The east end. So the map you guys are seeing is just me going to Google Maps, and that's kind of what it looks like. The mileage is all done with me walking and looking at my watch. So assuming my watch is accurate, the mileage on this map is accurate. When I looked it up other ways, I couldn't get it any more accurate than me and my watch. Nan Knight, who is on there, is the homeowner who's willing to have it in her garden. So ideally, what I'm hoping for is that I would like to do online ticket sales. I would like to time them to control the flow. The first ghost tour walk thing we had 200 people show up at 7 o'clock in the evening, and it was a hot, giant mess. So I thought if we did time tickets, that would help us to control the flow, the number of people going in and out. I would prefer to do all of the tickets online. There would be under 10 was free, up to 21 would be, I think we decided $5. We're going to do a designated driver ticket, which I'm thinking probably will come in at $15 or $20. I want them to help absorb some of the other expenses we have, so I don't want to make it as cheap as the child's ticket. And then for $40, you could get the hard cider, the commemorative glass, and then, do you guys, I don't know how well you know Uniontown, another homeowner who now lives in what we all call the old bank, and Mr. Herman built the house on the back, so now it's the bank house, and all of these are really unofficial names, but we call it bank house. Cotty and Cohee have offered to let us use the bank in the front of their house for the ticketing. So we could take tickets there and check IDs. I would propose to only have 2 bracelets. I want to do red and green. Red you can't drink, green you can. I'm trying to go as simplistic as possible. One of the things Joe had mentioned to me is that for anything that's involving liquor, you guys prefer to close roads if at all possible. You'd mentioned it was a state road, but in fact, up until that point in time, it's county. It's only state at the very end, and that's what this here is showing, is that in fact, through almost all of Uniontown, the road is a state road, is a county road, is not a state road. The little blip of 84 that comes off Clear Ridge goes down and then goes out Trevanion is state, but the bulk of Uniontown is county.
So are you planning to close the road?
I don't know. Is it feasible to close the road? You guys need to understand, like, when I do a ghost tour, that's like the extent of my arranging knowledge. I've never done anything at all with liquor or anything, so I have no idea. Will the county allow us to close the road? I was thinking that Stroll would cover around 3 hours. I looked at the sunset the day that we're proposing, and the sun sets at 6:30, at which point in time I would like to close it down and be done with it. That would still give us light to get everything cleared out. In the past, Francis Scott Key has let us park at their parking lot, and then we ferry people up on tractors with hay wagons. And that would let us close the road and still get people into town. I'm willing to take any suggestions or ideas.
The state, now this is state policy, the state will only allow you to close a road if you have a detour route. Tawnytown, for example, if they close Baltimore Street or whatever it is, which I think that's what it is, they have a detour around that they can send traffic around. The state, for instance, Reese Fire Company used to have a parade. Well, they can detour traffic around, but not correctly. So they can't close 140. They used to close 140 and have the parade on 140. They can't do
Okay.
that. I would suggest that you check with the Bureau of Roads in the county to see if that's possible
Okay.
to close the county road. And as she mentioned, if you're not familiar with Uniontown, the state property does not begin until it comes Clear Ridge Road or whatever it is, comes from Union Bridge, and then cuts across and goes up to old, what's now 140, used to be 97, across that comes out to, before you get up there to Tyrone or whatever it is. But the rest of Uniontown roads, as she's speaking about, 95% of Uniontown is on a county road.
But it's the,
Segafus family or whatever it is, they're almost to the end of the road there. Maybe they don't live there anymore, they might all.
no,
pass
they
away.
actually, we've been in Uniontown over 30 years, and the Segafuses were still there when we moved in, but they are all gone now. So the Bureau of Roads is who I need to contact about the possibility of a road closure.
The only times I recall roads being closed is the town of Sykesville and Westminster. I don't recall any other location in the county where a road was closed. So they had the
I don't
city
either,
behind
but-
them,
but
and
the
they
wa-
had a police force
But the
too.
way they close the roads, when they close Westminster, they use Green Street as the detour. Sykesville's got another road, and I don't remember what the name of it is, but they can detour around at Main Street in Sykesville. But anyway, you need to check that. We don't have any control or anything
Okay.
to do with that.
If they are not willing to close the road,
You can't close it if they're not willing.
no, I know that. So then the cider stroll would be null and void, right? You guys would prefer a road closure?
Speaking for myself, what time of year is this?
This is, we're talking about October.
My first question, is your operation a 501c3, a nonprofit?
Yes,
Okay. You have to be a nonprofit in order to be eligible for a one-day license.
yeah, no, the Historic Uniontown Inc. is a nonprofit.
I can personally see where you don't necessarily need the road closed if it's properly, traffic is properly directed and so on and so forth.
Are there sidewalks along the stretch?
Some of them.
There is a sidewalk that goes all the way through town that if you are heading towards Union Bridge, on the right side of the road. On the left side of the road, there's a fair amount of sidewalk, but it's not,
Continuous.
yes. So, it's,
I personally think you could work something out to have it without the road being closed.
Just stroll on the sidewalk.
That's my personal opinion,
okay.
but I'm not
I don't have any
traffic
idea.
expert.
I don't know anything either, but I can at least give them a whirl, and then if it's a no for them, if they, for whatever reason, would be willing to let us close traffic, and we could set a precedent with that, that would actually, if this is a good fundraiser, allow us to expand out what we're doing. If we could, in terms of, selling tables and things there added, would give us, more options, but I don't, like I said, I don't know.
Uniontown doesn't have a police force, do they?
We don't have anything. We are unincorporated with
You need to contact the sheriff's department for assistance.
They got one of the largest mobile vets in
I've been there.
the state.
Oh, Dr. Nancy is wonderful.
Yeah. Does anyone know the legal definition of hard cider?
It's a beer, it falls under the beer category.
I'm talking about alcohol content. Isn't there a definition for hard cider? It's a certain percentage?
No, I don't think so, but I know the breweries make cider.
Okay. So hard cider falls under our jurisdiction.
Yes.
George, I don't think the hard cider, when she says hard cider, is what I know as hard cider,
And me,
and you may know as hard cider.
right.
No,
Okay.
no, don't go that far.
Well, I know I talked to, like, Pub Dog sells they have one cider and they sell that in a keg. So,
So
That's- And that has alcohol in it.
it contains at least 1/2 of 1% and less than 7% alcohol by volume. That's the legal definition.
And what is that? Is that Maryland state law?
Yes,
Does, Keith, does Charlie have cider?
United States Code.
What was that?
Stanball-
States Code?
Stanball have cider?
Was it?
Yes. The Stand Balls, Brewery Fire, all the breweries have a cider,
Hard cider.
hard cider, yes.
Yeah, you may,
And they call it hard cider as distinguished from cider.
Right.
yeah, if you drink it, you drink, because you drink hard cider, you wouldn't call it cider. I don't know why.
I mean, you could do the stroll without, you could have 2 locations and have a closed-in area at each location, and people walk back and forth from each location, just can't carry the hard cider with them from
Okay.
each location. Because I don't know I don't know how, how you detour around Uniontown.
I don't know.
That's-
You go around Uniontown, but you're gonna have to go through the country. I'm not talking about
Jasontown Road and all that stuff.
all
And,
that stuff.
Yeah,
yeah,
either
there's
Jason
no
Town or-
easy detour.
If you have people crossing the street, which it looks like might be an intention, if you had a crosswalk
Right.
dedicated just to that and
Yeah, it's,
monitored by law enforcement of some sort.
well, I mean, are you gonna allow the road to be open?
If she can't close the road, I'm talking about a crosswalk that is monitored as a possible solution.
Okay.
I don't know,
Well, it's just like you do at the railroad tracks when you go downtown.
Yeah, but the road's closed. They only they're only
No,
getting
but you
tracked.
still got people crossing.
Yeah.
Mr. Arthur, my suggestion would be, I think, and I can't speak for my colleagues, but I think I can, that we would be amicable to entertain a one-day license if you can get the logistics worked out and give us a plan
Okay.
where you're gonna do, and certainly our inspector can be of great help to you in seeing what you have and how it could be adapted to meet our requirements and so on and so forth. And I think probably we're not prepared, I don't think, to make a final decision.
No, I'm not
Usually,
prepared for that either.
usually, we need maps and designations and so on and so forth, and I'm sure that our inspector would be glad to work with you and your committee to guide you a little bit as far as our regulations would be.
Okay.
And then if they're not adaptable to what you want to do and so on and so forth, well, things will have to be changed.
Okay. We're fairly flexible at this point in time. This is still just very, very beginning phases.
Usually what happens in situations like this, the organization will come in, just like the restaurants come in and give us a layout of their establishments, tables, bars, and so on and so forth, that the organization will come in and have a map of, here's what we would like to do, here's where our vendors are gonna be located, here's where we're gonna have alcohol served, and how we're gonna contain the area that we're gonna allow to be served and things like that.
The biggest concern, question we had, when she came to us is, will you allow this event to go without closing the road?
Yeah, like I said, we're in the very beginning, so I wasn't sure.
Well, they could come back, and I'm just
Yeah,
I'm just talking now, and he might come back and say, well, hey, here's what we're gonna do, we can't close the road and so forth, but we're gonna do all this stuff on the parking lot at Key.
yeah,
Just-
That's the reason we asked her to come in front of the board, because I couldn't answer that question.
Yeah, the
No.
road is a bit of a challenge for us.
Right.
People crossing traffic for these type of events. Usually, it's something that we consider and concerned about, but like we've talked about earlier, there may be a way around it. If you can't close the road, there might be some type of way to satisfy us as to the safety of the pedestrians.
Okay, because the one, because I've never worked in a bar, how hard is it to monitor people leaving a facility to ensure that they're not taking alcohol with them? I see that as being problematic if there's people milling.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, all right, so
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Okay,
You have a closed-in area, and then we have fencing up, and then you have someone standing there watching people walk out.
okay.
Make sure there's
Okay.
nothing in the hand, nothing in the hand. If they have it in the bag, we're not gonna stop that, because you're not gonna give them something they can seal it.
No, no. If
So,
you
they're
stick
gonna
this in.
spill it in their bag.
You stick it in your bag, you're
Yeah.
adventurous.
But that kind of stuff, talk to the roads people,
Okay,
and find out if it's doable, and then we can come sit down, we'll sit down again.
okay. All right, do you have a card?
I do not have one, but you can get hold of Joe, and
Okay.
I gave my last card out earlier this morning, I forgot to get some more.
Okay, all right, good. Does anybody off the top of their head have any other suggestions, ideas, anything you want to throw my way? I'm always up for.
I think the best advice is to chat with Keith and Joe, who have a lot of experience gathering this information and providing it to us, and they both know things that work with us.
Okay. All right, well, good Lord willing, I'll be back someday.
Okay, good luck. It sounds like a good opportunity to raise some funds for the academy, and
Well, it's like I said, I'm really down to this point in time. What I'm hoping is to get something in a form that we could replicate it every year or every other year and not be so dependent on the homeowners opening their homes. That is, it's a big draw. Everybody wants to see the houses. And FYI, if anybody here is really dying to get inside the houses, for the most part, they look better from the outside. Inside, it's a bunch of little tiny rooms, and they're all very dark.
So there's a cemetery involved in this, in your thought?
I actually belong to the Methodist Church, and I've already talked to them about it, and they're absolutely fine with us using the cemetery. I promise that we won't
Is it
actually be.
haunted?
I will tell you that there are a lot of ghost stories in Uniontown. I myself don't necessarily believe in ghosts. That being said, I was in somebody else's house and saw a black cat run across the hallway, and they don't own a cat. I still don't believe in ghosts, but I know what I saw. It then made me leave the house. My daughter moved into, the Dodds lived in this same house from the 1950s. My daughter and son-in-law bought the house maybe 5-7 years ago. She had a baby who's almost 3. Mrs. Dodd died about 6 weeks after Becca had Arthur, and Becca swears that she would come in and stuff would be like rocking and moving, and there was nobody there. Mrs. Dodd was a really great lady, so I don't know, but there's plenty of people that stuff in their house has gotten moved around, and these people are people that seem trustworthy and intelligent, and they swear by what they're saying. If you live someplace and the houses are old enough, people died in them. It's, it's inevitable. I myself don't believe in ghosts, but I really saw that cat. I mean, I know what I saw.
Keith,
Still don't believe in it, but I know
he's
what I saw.
telling these stories as many times as I was in that Devil Bisque store up there and getting candy and stuff to eat and so on and so forth. Now she tells this kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah, my kids always called that the G store. It was probably the last place on earth you could buy penny candy.
And John Brown, the old sheriff, didn't he die in his house?
I should completely know that information. I can tell you where John is buried. I can see his tombstone from the front of my house.
Who?
John
The old
Brown.
John Brown, the sheriff.
Oh.
Oh, man,
Not John Brown,
Not
not
the
John
Jo-
Brown, yeah.
if you guys have just a minute, I'll tell you a
We
good.
have other people.
Oh, sorry. I got a good story with John Brown now. I'll tell you sometime, Keith, since
Yeah,
you're
we
new
could
on it.
tell you a lot of stories about John Brown.
All right, well, hopefully.
Thank you, ma'am, and good luck.
Back. Thank you
We
very
hope to hear
much.
from you.
enjoy the rest of your day, and you will be hearing from me again.
Sounds good.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Leahy, our apologies for getting behind schedule.
No problem. I have something for Jo Vance that she asked for, so I do have a certificate showing the ownership
Thank
of Wood Fire. It is 90%, 10%. Mr. Priola asked me to come here and speak on his behalf. As I understand it,
Be seated, you don't stay.
the resident licensee, Teresa Barnes, has given 30 days' notice that she is not going to be serving on the license. In the meantime, Mr. Priola has applied to be on the license in her place. The hearing's not until March 8th. He was hoping the board would consider allowing him to continue to keep the license up until he gets appointed, even though technically, I don't understand, you're gonna have to go run and get the license on the 17th or 18th
Well,
otherwise.
that's 30 days. I mean, direction to the board, unless it changes, I was right, yes.
Okay. So he has simply asked for that, so I'm asking for the board to consider it. It is a little unusual situation when there's a falling out between a minority resident licensee and the majority owner. These things can happen. Usually, it's not a problem because usually they coordinate so that you don't have it. But, so he has asked, and so that's what I'm doing.
So you're asking us to hold in abeyance the enforcement of a rule?
I believe that's what I'm asking.
So under our rules, Keith, or Joe, it's on the 16th, you have to go pick up the license?
We counted 17th, but.
All right, 17th, that would be the 30 days from the notice that was given by the
Because it's
licensee?
31, it was 31 days, yeah. We counted
Whatever the day is.
31 days, yeah.
All right.
I'm looking for the 17th.
All right. The next hearing,
I believe the hearing
March
is March 8th. And, you know, Mr. Priola's position is it would be a hardship to have to close basically for 2-3
He
weeks.
doesn't have to close.
Well, I understand, but not to have a license,
He can still be YOB, and he could still.
okay, well, again,
Mr. Leahy, do you know of any rule one way or the other that we're bound by?
well, I think you have the discretion, would defer to your attorney, but I think you have the discretion to grant such an abeyance if you wish to. It's your rule, it's not a state law, correct?
Okay.
Yeah,
It might be a state law, because it might be, you have to have a name on the license. You have to have a license issued to someone.
what I meant is that the notice requirement, I believe, is your rules.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I'm just saying, but there's a state law saying the license has to be issued to someone. It has to be a name on the license. You
There has
can't,
to be a liquor license with somewhat of a human being's name on it. Is that state, you're saying that's state law?
yes.
And at a certain date, the human being's name will be removed from the liquor license for that property?
I don't know if that part is a state law. I know that's our local laws,
Okay.
but yes.
All right, so if it's not a state law, then perhaps we have discretion to ignore the 30-day notice and keep Ms. Barnes's name on it until it's replaced? Is that?
I believe that is what we're asking.
Yeah.
I'll side with whatever Mr. Dixon decides.
Well, I'll just say this. The purpose, this is like a new request for a new establishment. So the purpose of getting the criminal background checked is that that person has provided that information, and we get the federal, state criminal background check. So we won't have that. We don't know, we wouldn't know between the time of whatever, February 17th and March 8th, we don't know any of the criminal background information.
I think what Mr. Leahy is suggesting, I think, you correct me, is that we're not going to put that name on the license. We're going to leave the existing name on it, even though she's given notice, and we're just going to toll that 30-day requirement that she come off, not put Mr. Priola on until the next hearing. So whether we had a background check or not, if we kept Ms. Barnes on it, there's a human being on it. Now, whether we can do that or not, I'm not sure.
I don't think we can keep somebody on it.
was gonna say,
When they already resigned and said they don't want to be on it, that's what the 30-day written notice was for.
If there was a violation, who would you hold responsible for it?
Yeah, who would be responsible for
Yeah,
that 17 days? Some person has to be responsible. The state wants you to be able to go after somebody for the violation. It can't be in limbo.
My feeling is the licensee has given us written notice, which has been accepted, for her to come off the license. There's not 100% assurance that we will approve the new license application. Therefore, there's a period of time that it's going to be in limbo. And unfortunately for the establishment, I don't feel that a legal license can be issued or an exception made in this case. The restaurant can stay open, BYOB, but they do not have a liquor license. That's my understanding, the way I read our rules and regulations in the state. That's my personal opinion. It's an unfortunate situation.
It is an unfortunate situation, and I understand your position, and I'm not surprised by it. I'm just doing a favor for someone who can't be here. He'll be back in town tomorrow night, he tells me, so.
You know, this has been going on for several months.
Mm-hmm.
And prospective purchasers last month thought that it was going to be taken care of at that time, and they had advance notice, as he did, of the situation, and I don't know what the current situation is, whether there's new buyers or whether he wants an extension or what, but in my opinion, this could all been resolved before now. And
Well,
unfortunately,
and we're talking with Ms. Barnes, we may be able to get her to cooperate. At least we're talking with her.
you know,
She can always, if she chooses to, she can always, before the 17th, perhaps write a letter saying she's willing to stay until, and then that would solve the problem, so.
I will mention this. Previous years, we've had a situation where the licensee has requested to be removed and change of thought and asked to not be removed until the next
later
hearing,
date.
so on and so forth.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do on his behalf at this point. Whether I'll be successful or not, time will tell. Okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Keith.
I didn't mean to speak for you all. You all can
No,
talk.
I agree with you.
You know what you got to do, right? Mean guy. Okay, is there any other business that we don't have on our agenda? If not, any other comments, suggestions, ideas, giveaways? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a suggestion when it comes to with the DUI offenses. I'd spoken to Keith briefly about this before, very casually. You know, I'm a victim of a drunk driver, having lost my son. I'm a speaker. I speak with Catherine's Cause at the bi-monthly meeting and tell my story. It might not be a bad idea for the establishments that do have multiple offenses to send the owners, the bar managers, the bartenders to Catherine's Cause to hear the victim, to hear what we have to say and hear how drunk driving has affected us. I mean, I know it makes a difference to the offenders that come, even if it just touches one person, makes a difference to one person. That's just my, I'm just asking that as the victim of a drunk driver. It's something to maybe take into account. And obviously, I don't think it could be anything that, you know, you would have, that you could enforce legally, but maybe a suggestion to other people. And I do know from listening to Dave talk, Westminster City Police Department, they are just, and Keith will tell you this, I mean, Chief Ledwell is just, he's really awesome. That's just, I just wanted to mention that.
We've tried, not tried, but suggested in other situations, similar types of remedial action and so on and so forth, that we can't require or
Right.
anything, as you mentioned, but it's a good idea to perhaps consider that. First month that I came on this board, I attended one of those and was surprised to see some of the people that were there, who I think were surprised to see me there. I don't know whether they ever thought why I was there or not, but I stood there and talked to Cindy while some of them were paying the fee and so on and so forth, and they didn't see me pay any fee, thank God, so I guess maybe they realized that wasn't why I was there, but good idea. Anything else? If not, this meeting stands adjourned. We will reconvene on March the 8th, 2023 at 10 o'clock in this room.